All right. I believe we are good to go here. Um, obviously we are back again with another week of UFC. Um, I will say that this card doesn't necessarily excite me too much. Um, in my opinion, it's one of the worst cards that we've had in a while. It seems like. But with that being said, that doesn't mean um, that it's not worth betting on. The reason I say that, though, is just because it seems like more of your typical place filler in the UFC where they just throw some heavyweights as the or not as the main event, throw some heavyweights as a co-main and throw a name that's declining in Arlovsky, but we'll get there. But there's not really a rising star prospect either. Just kind of a bland card, if you ask me. But we're still going to go through it and try to find some betting value. But we'll start with how we did last week. 4-2 overall. We hit on the Bobby Green, Tiago to reach decision -195. Bryce Mitchell at -135. Uriah Hall at -230. Even though I did say that there was a lot of value in Hill at knockout. What was he? Plus like one. Yeah, Hill by knockout plus 140. I said that had value on it. I didn't say to go with it though, but whoever did, congratulations. And then finally on the undercard, Jason Witt at -145. While our two losses were Mo Green at plus 270. I thought he had a shot, and he did almost sink in a submission at one point, but ended up getting knocked out. And then on the undercard, Kevin Natividad at plus 135. So 4-2 overall, plus 0.38 units for that card. And actually, last night I did the numbers for the history of the show, dating back 12 events all the way back to UFC 252. Not doing as good as I would like, but still positive. Overall, plus 3.58 units. Not great by any means, but hopefully we can build on that. But I definitely think the reason why is a lot of the picks here are -200 in that area. So the losses hurt more than usual, but that just comes with betting the sport of MMA and UFC in particular. So we're doing good, I guess, but we want to do better. So we'll start that off today. Try to get some extra value on an underdog here. Claudia Guerrera, who is 18-4 in her career, a plus 135 underdog. She is fighting Yan Zhanan, I believe is how it's pronounced. I definitely could be wrong there. But yeah, I think there's a lot of value on Guerrera here. It's a pretty good fight to start the main card on. I will say I am definitely a little bit biased towards Claudia. I think she's very good, and I think she constantly gets underrated in her fights. She's a talented jiu-jitsu artist. She's a 14-time world jiu-jitsu champ over a handful of different championships and stuff like that. She is on a 2-fight win streak, Randa Marcos and Angela Hill. She's also beaten Carolina, Jessica Aguilar. And her only losses are to Joanna twice, who Joanna might be the best in the division's history, arguably. Jessica Andrade and Nina Ansaroff, and definitely the Nina one is the one outlier there. But basically, she's only lost to good fighters. She had one bad fight. But yeah, she beats pretty much everyone that she's supposed to. Her career, 2 knockouts, 7 submissions, 9 decisions. She's very good on the mat, talented in the clinch. I just think she's a pretty decent all-around fighter. On the other side, Yan is 5-0 in the UFC. Her most recent wins are against Angela Hill and Kowalczyk. In her career, she has 5 knockouts and 7 decisions, no submission wins. So she is primarily a striker. But since joining the UFC, she has not yet to record a knockout. All of her fights reaching decision. And also, Guerrera is her last 5 fights are also by decision. So I looked into some prop bets, but I don't think there was enough value on the ones that I liked. So where I found the most value, in my opinion, was straight up Claudia on the fight line at plus 135. Obviously, she does have a little bit of a disadvantage in striking, and I think that's why the line looks the way it does. But she does have the clear advantage, at least in my opinion, on the mat and in the clinch. And I do anticipate her being able to take this fight to the ground, and I think it comes down to whether or not she can keep her down. And I think she can point fight her way to a win. So I think for value, if nothing else, as an underdog, plus 135, I think it should be a good way to start off the main card. Yeah, so Claudia Gadelha plus 135 is my pick for that one. And we can move into an interesting one. You can see the line is pretty much a pick 'em. It's Brendan Allen, who is 15-3 against Ian Heinisch, who is 14-3 in his career. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting fight. Brendan Allen's on the 7-fight win streak. He's 3-0 in the UFC since his Contender Series win. He's beaten guys like Kevin Holland, who, if I'm not mistaken, just got picked to replace Till in the fight against Jack Hermanson. So that's a good win. Tom Breeze and Kyle Dawkins. Yeah, he's had a pretty good run. 5 knockouts, 8 submissions, 2 decisions, one of each since joining the UFC. He can do it all. I will say he definitely is probably at his best while grappling and in mount and stuff like that. But he can stand his own on the feet. So not too worried there, especially considering that Heinisch is primarily more of a striker. But he has lost 2 of his last 3 fights. They are just pretty good fighters, Derek Brunson and Amari Akhmedov. And he is coming off a win against Gerald Meerschaert, who is very respectable in his own right. So basically, Heinisch has fought the better guys, well, more established, I should say. We don't really know what Kevin Holland can be. Same to go for Kyle Dawkins. But on Heinisch's side, we know he's beaten some credentialed fighters. Derek Brunson and Amari Akhmedov are not bad losses by any means. But I did say he is more of a striker, 5 knockouts compared to 2 submissions. I don't know. I think Allen's more well-rounded. I think the difference in striking compared to the difference in wrestling abilities favors Brendan Allen. Like I said, more well-rounded. I think, yeah, he's worse on the feet, but Heinisch is worse on the ground than Allen is on the feet, if that makes sense. So the one thing I always talk about here is path to a victory. And I think the way that I break it down, it always seems to favor the fighter with grappling abilities. And in this case, that would be Brendan Allen. So I mean, I get why it's an even fight on the money line. But I just seem to lean Allen in every way that I see the fight playing out. So I think minus 115 is a good value for Brendan Allen. So that's my pick in that one. So right off the bat to start the card, you get 2 pretty good value picks in terms of UFC. But unfortunately, that might get a little bit worse as we go on. As we see in this fight, this is not a fight I want to talk about at all. It's a fight that I say you should not bet on. To be honest, I can't say I know too much about these guys. I've seen them fight. I think I've seen them each fight twice. And from what I've seen, I do think that Barcelos should win this fight pretty easily. I also don't really like Taha. In his last fight, he missed weight and tested positive for an illegal substance, which is a terrible combo to have at once. And on top of that, from what I've seen, I don't think he's that good. But I looked into some props. I didn't really see anything that I liked here. And minus 370, I don't know if it should be that high. But I also don't think Taj has any value as an underdog. So that's why I'm saying don't bet this one. I don't know. This is kind of the one fight on the card that I looked at, and I couldn't be less excited for that fight out of all of them. So don't bet that one. I have no pick for you guys there. I think it should be a bad fight. But moving on, this is the co-main event. Tanner Boser, kind of making a little run for himself right now. Minus 300 as a pretty big favorite, especially against a guy like Andrei Arlovsky, who we'll get into him, but a UFC legend. But yeah, I said Boser was on a little bit of a run. He had an impressive first-round finish of Philip Lins, and then performance of the night knockout against Rafael Pessoa. So small names, but he's looking good in it. He's getting a big step up in competition. His only UFC loss is to Cyril Gane, and that's who many people consider to be the best heavyweight prospect in the UFC. So, I mean, we haven't seen him in a while. It's been over a year, but I think he's supposed to fight again soon. But I don't put too much into that loss. I'm not saying that Boser is pushing for the heavyweight title, which a lot of people think Gane is. So pretty much he's your typical heavyweight. He's going to sit there. He's going to throw the hands and look for the knockout. And he's been getting it recently anyway. And over to Arlovsky. He's obviously a UFC legend. He was a former heavyweight champ. I mean, it was all the way back in 2005. The dude's been around forever. He's beaten some of the top guys over the course of his career. But when you look at what he's done lately, it's not very impressive whatsoever. 4-9 in his last 13 fights, and that's over the course of the last 4 years. His only wins in that span are against Philip Lins, who Boser also beat, but Boser was able to finish him while Arlovsky took it to a decision. Beat Ben Rothwell, who's just another aging guy that's been around a while. Stefan Struve, who I talked about a couple weeks ago, I think he's one of the worst fighters in UFC history. He just happens to be tall. And then Junior Albini, who is pretty mid any way you look at it. So the guys he's lost to on the other side are probably the people he should lose to. It's guys like Jairzinho Rosenstrike, Augusto Sakai, Shamil, Tai Tuivasa, Marcin Tybura, Ngannou, Josh Barnett, Overeem, and Stipe. So, I mean, he's lost to pretty much every guy at the top of the division. It seems like that pretty much breaks down the top 10, excluding a couple of guys. But so for sure, he's fought a lot of good talent, but he hasn't beaten any of them. So I don't know. He's beaten the guys that aren't very good, lost to the guys that are good. I don't know where Tanner Boser ranks in that, but just based off what I've seen, I think he's going to be able to do enough to get the win. And also on Arlovsky, doesn't have a knockout win since 2015. 5 of his last 9 losses are by knockout. And I kind of think the trend continues here. He's 41 years old, trending downwards. I just simply don't think that he has it anymore. I feel really good about Tanner winning this fight. But for the sake of value, I don't want to do minus 300. And so I think Tanner Boser can get a finish. He's been doing it. And Arlovsky has shown that he has been getting knocked out in, let's see, over 50% of his last 9 losses. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going with Boser by knockout, plus 160. I think it gives good value. It's heavyweights. Anytime you can get a favorite, especially a minus 300 favorite at a heavyweight to win by knockout at plus 160, seems like it has good value by itself. But a guy like Tanner, 2 of his 3 wins in the UFC are by knockout. I don't know. I just think it might be an early night for Arlovsky. So that's the prop bet there. I think it has good value. Definitely better value than just picking Boser on the money line. And this brings us into our main event. I do have one undercard pick after this, but this is the final fight of the night. Thiago Santos, 21-7, is a minus 240 favorite against Glover Teixeira, 31-7 in his career. He's been around forever as well. He's coming back at a plus 200 underdog. So for Thiago, it's his first fight back in the ring since his loss to John Jones for the title back in July of 2019, I believe it is. He's got a lot of power. 15 of his 21 wins are by knockout. He was on a hell of a run going into that John Jones title fight. He had knocked out Blachowicz, who is the current champ right now, obviously. He also beat Jimmy Manua, who I think is one of the most underrated fighters of all time. Your boy Eric Anders, not a great win. And then Kevin Holland, who seems to be proving to be a better and better win as his career goes on. But before that, he had also beaten Lionheart Smith, Jack Hermanson, and Gerald Mearshart, all respectable guys. I mean, the dude's a super good fighter. There's no other way to break that one down. Thiago Santos is one of the best. He's the #1 contender in light heavyweight for a reason. Yeah, and even that John Jones fight on first watch, I thought he beat John Jones. I thought he won it 3-2. I thought he got the decision, but I watched it back. I think I was just kind of taken back by just the lack of action in the fight. Watching it back, I completely do think John Jones win, but just to get a split decision against John Jones, win or lose, I think it's a good sign, especially when you find out what was going on with Thiago. Where is it? After the fight, he had double knee surgery. This is his first fight since having double knee surgery. In the Jones fight, Santos tore his ACL, MCL, PCL, meniscus in his left knee, and he had all their ligament damage in his right knee. It's his first fight since coming off all those injuries. We'll get more into that in a second. Let's talk about Glover for a sec. Him, just like Arlovsky, 41 years old, but the thing, Texeira seems to be holding up a little bit better than Arlovsky has. He's on a little bit of a late career run, making a push for the title. He's on a win streak that includes wins over Lionheart, Nikita Krylov, Ion Cutelaba, and Carl Roberson. So not the top tier talent, but some decent wins in there. This is definitely a big step up from what Texeira has seen recently. But I do think, I guess I should get this out of the way since I'm not even, my best bet isn't even who's going to win. I do think Thiago Santos wins this fight. I think he wins it pretty easily. I think he's just clearly the better fighter. I just think there's a couple of questions about the fight. Like I said, all the injuries. And all those injuries, it's first fight since then, first time back in the ring in over a year. I think it might be a slow start for him in the first couple of rounds. And because of this, and because Glover Texeira is an aging vet, I think you'd think he's a guy that's going to fight smart, not go out there and waste all of his energy early. I think that over 1.5 rounds at -150 is the best bet for the fight. I get it that both these guys do have knockout power, definitely Thiago more so than Glover at this point. But I just think that these guys fight the way that they're going to fight. I think it starts off slow. It wastes a lot of time in the first round. And even when you look at it, I was looking at other props. Fight to start round 3 at +115 also has a ton of value. 4 out of 6 of Glover Texeira's main events have reached the 3rd round, and all 3 of Thiago Santos' 5-round fights have also reached the 3rd round. So I think this goes late. I think Thiago gets a late knockout win. I think probably 3rd, 4th, 5th round in that area. But I do think that there definitely will be a feeling out period in these in the first couple of rounds here. So like I said, I think Santos wins the fight. I think he gets the knockout at some point, but over 1.5 rounds at -150 seems like a great line to me. And I would also look into fight to start round 3 at +115. Those are my 2 best bets for the fight. I don't know, man. I'll be kind of disappointed if it's a quick knockout. I don't think it should be. At the same time, you could say Thiago's going in there trying to prove something that he hasn't slowed down since all the knee surgeries, and just go out there and let them fly, which is also very possible. But from what we've seen in the 5-round fights of these guys, they tend to go into the later rounds. So that's what I'm going to go with here. -150 over 1.5 rounds, my best bet for the main event. And then we can cap off the show with one undercard pick. It's Trevin Giles -105 versus Bevon Lewis. Don't really have anything really special to say about it. I just think Giles is clearly the better fighter. I'm not big on Lewis whatsoever, so to get him at that value seems like a steal to me. Yeah, so that is everything that I have for this event. Obviously, pretty jam-packed weekend. Got a variety of things to watch. Got a full slate of NFL, full slate of college football. If you want picks for that, you can check out the QLTV YouTube channel. I've already had shows this week covering that stuff. Started off NFL on a pretty good note last night, having the Packers cover against the 49ers. But then, in addition to that, obviously we got some UFC. While I don't think it's a very good card to watch, always makes it a little bit more exciting if you have some betting interest on it. Also got Breeders' Cup, you got golf, you got the whole thing this weekend. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys next week. I'll be on Tuesday for some college football picks, Thursday for NFL, and back again on Friday at this time for next weekend's UFC card. So with everything being said, good luck on whatever you may be betting on this weekend, and I'll see you guys soon. So I'll catch you later.